Once the post-production facilities and the editing systems were willing to entertain the idea of taking our sound as sound files, something which had never been done in the past. I mean, even all the years of working in quarter inch and in DAT, our sound always got into the editorial systems in a linear, generally analog and then digital with DAT, real-time process.
This will eventually smooth out and we'll get on the same page. But for now, we're in the middle of some confusing times. Some production mixers and some post houses have a good grasp on what to do. Some do not. It's going to take a little while to get on the same page. The workflow problems are just simple cases of misunderstandings, and others are a lot more complicated, and there's a myriad of other problems involved.
Now this is what you don't want to do on a job. Sleep.
Man, I had a really long week.
Well, that's why you want to be prepared for the productions. If you'll come ill-prepared, then you're not going to have a successful production.
That's rock and roll.
Yeah, I guess after a day's worth of sleep, you should be ready to go. Come on, let's show them how it's done.
Okay. Welcome to UMSL Media, and I'm your host, L.J. Williams. Today's topic is keys to a successful post-production. We're going to give you some intricate details that you will need to succeed in your post-productions. We'll have our special guest today, DJ A.J. Snow from St. Louis's own 104.1, and Professor Charles McDonald of UMSL's Arts and Science Department will be here to talk about some of the keys to success. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for what we have in store.
Each of the manufacturers have tried to make their machines as widely supportive of as many industry standards as there may be, but the problem is there aren't a lot of industry standards. There certainly are, at this point, almost no industry standards.
Okay. Hello, this is Larry here, coming to you from UMSL's Media Department, and today we have St. Louis's own DJ Snow, A.J. Snow, from 104.1. Today, how's it going, A.J.?
Oh, man, it's going good, man. Blessed, man. How are you?
I'm wonderful, wonderful. Yes, sir. Also, we have today joining us would be Instructor Charles McDonald from UMSL's Media Studies Department as well to discuss some sound. When was it that you really, or when you really discovered that you love music?
Oh, man. I would say probably when I first started high school. Probably even before that. Like, really, music is in my blood. As a young boy, me and my brother and my cousin, we created a little group and stuff like that. So, and I was always on and off with the music, but they was
right.
more. It was more
hands-on.
Yeah, they was more like this is what they wanted to do full time.
Right.
I was just like, I want to do it because y'all doing it. I'm looking
so
up to them.
So they were more dedicated than you were at the time.
Exactly, but over time, I still today I wake up listening to music. Like music is life to me.
Right.
So I would say since I really could remember.
Right, right. Now my other question to you, many people may not know, but we had some previous film experience working on film projects. And one by the name of Detroit Rock City.
Right, I remember that, yeah.
And what do you think was the most important aspect of the production process as far as the sound and the editing aesthetics?
Well, sound is everything, it sets the mood, You can have a scene to where it's a lot going on, but if you don't have a sound to set the mood, then anybody could say, oh, well, this happening, but the sound actually sets the mood for the audience. So it's very important. It's almost everything. But the keys to that project, the success, it had people like you and I who actually cared about the crafts of film and audio. And a lot of people was there for, to get grades, but we took it serious and we wanted to take it up a notch. And and we put our minds to it, and ultimately we made it happen.
Right, with the directing and, the audio, it played a big part on that too.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, and then our professor, putting us in those roles, challenging us to fulfill
right.
those shoes, So yeah, it was a lot of fun, man.
Right.
I have to be back too, man. You know, this ain't my first time. This ain't gonna be my last time.
Right. Good deal, man. We got to keep it going. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know, it's about mass media and getting the word out and empowering, the masses.
Yeah, yeah. That's ultimately that's what we're here for. You know, to spread a positive message to the world.
Yes, sir. After another word from our sponsor, we will be speaking with UMSL's own Mr. Mack to give us more tech specs, so to speak.
Here's a big topic we really need to address today, and it's the metadata issue. Metadata refers to any descriptive data that is embedded in a file. Roll number, date, timecode stamp, segment number, scene number, actual take numbers, and so forth. Or can we simply continue to slap a sticker on the box with all the usual info and send it into post with our handwritten notes? How much metadata is enough, and when is it too much for a mixer to handle on the set? We hope to learn some good information today. The most important thing is that all of you are finally gathered in the same room. This is how solutions must begin. We'll move from production sound mixing. At the end of the row here, we have Jeff Wexler. He's an Academy Award nominated mixer and a British Academy Award winner for his mixing on Almost Famous. Jeff has over 35 years of mixing experience and more than 60 films.
I think everyone here knows that we're really kind of in a new world. The transition from quarter-inch analog recording to DAT was actually fairly easy to accomplish. Primarily, not so easy for some of us in production that had to deal with the transition in terms of the workflow from production to post. Was not so great with DAT because it was still, although digital, was still a linear format. The transition to nonlinear recording, as the DAT machines, really the way things are going to be done, was pretty obvious to me. It was just a chance to go to a different way of recording sound, and I knew that this was going to pose a problem for the people in post. Didn't move us any closer to the promise of a full nonlinear workflow, which is the ability to be able to transfer our sound at the speed of file transfers, to be able to have all of the power of, checksum verification and various other things that help us maintain the integrity of the sound file. The goal being that we could know that everyone is dealing with the same piece of sound. There would never be
questions abound about sample rates, track assigning, the issue of timecode offsets, audio synchronization through the digital transmission path. Does post want DVD RAM or plus R, minus R, RW, 24 or 16-bit, compact flash, dual layers, SD2 or broadcast wave, polyphonic or monophonic files?
I loved full track mono, that's the way I like to work, but there was all this timecode stuff I was going to have to start thinking about.
So this was the promise of nonlinear, and it still has yet to be fully realized, of course.
Our moderator is John Coffey, C.A.S. He's a former production mixer and now full-time running his company, Coffey Sound. And let's hear it for John Coffey.
This is an important event. I really believe in it today. The time has come for this, and I'm glad everybody showed up for it. This is the first seminar ever held to talk about the nonlinear workflow. Each subject of discussion could easily be a seminar in itself. The most important thing today is that we're now talking together for the first time. We all see the need for better communication because we are in this workflow together. The slow death of DAT has brought us into the age of nonlinear recording. DAT recorders are no longer being manufactured and are now being replaced by nonlinear recorders, which lay down tracks to ever-changing forms of media. We will try to stay focused on the big workflow picture.
Well, the other promise of nonlinear is that if we have the proper systems in place and the proper workflow, which is what this seminar is all about, everybody will be able to be dealing with the same piece of sound with no compromises, and it should improve everybody's life a lot.
Lines of the same topic. The next C.A.S. seminar would be made up of panelists from the biggest post houses in Hollywood, including Photocam, Modern Video, Sound Deluxe, Technicolor, Laser Pacific, and more. They'll discuss what they do in their facility and what they'd like to see done in the production. After that, we hope to have more seminars, including one with Avid, Steinberg, and Apple, before we're all done whipping this topic into shape.
All right. First things first, don't cut money from your post budget during preparation. The temptation to have budget cuts when trying to lock a budget, close a bond, or acquire funding from your funding source can be encumbering.
Taking money away from your post-production seems easier than having to shoot or rework an expensive scene. It's easy to assume that you can save money this way. Adding money back to post lines later is often delusional.
Affirmative. Because if you do save money to compensate, it's inevitably used for the underseen needs of the film production.
So be diligent and keep an honest and realistic post budget from the start.
First, I will email everyone a copy of the post schedule based on our needs. The industry standard is 10 weeks to deliver a cut. If I can't deliver it in time, you will be notified in advance.
Hey, director, what do we need to do to help this run like a well-oiled machine, which is what everyone wants, right?
If you have a post-production specialist, bring them in. They could save you time and money. They will have awesome advice for all steps of the process. A bond company will require written proof of the bids. This is something a post supervisor can acquire. They can also help prepare the right workflow for post based on shooting the format. A very controversial issue, especially for directors.
So personally, I destroy all DVDs that we need to screen or never let anyone keep a copy of the film. If someone needs to screen the movie, your sales agent, a publicist, an actor, then set up a screening for them, even if this means personally driving the DVD to their house and waiting 2 hours for them to watch it before bringing it back.
Thanks for keeping us tuned in. I hope you found the intermission empowering. We now have University of Missouri St. Louis's own Mr. Charlie McDonald. Mr. McDonald, could you tell the audience a little bit about your expertise when it comes to audio and film?
So when I noticed that the audio was not really taken into consideration is in situations like, say, an elementary school recital or a school play or a dance presentation, and I've gone to like my nieces and nephews and children's recitals and school programs where you can tell they thought about the staging, they had the costuming worked out, they had the order of the program just honed down to a T. But then when they crank up the audio, there's something wrong with it. It's not at the right level, or it's distorted, or the source material is no good. And I'm always surprised that the audio isn't always given the treatment that it deserves and the consideration it deserves in a theatrical presentation, or just something like a wedding. I went to my nephew's wedding reception last summer, and the DJ they hired wasn't really a DJ. They had all the sound equipment, but he didn't know how to fire it up or turn it on. So luckily I was there to help him, but it's just really kind of amazing when audio is not given the consideration it deserves. Now,
I know you're an audio expert. What was your most challenging or prized project where you did a voiceover?
Now, the most challenging voiceover I ever did was for a hypnotherapist, and I did, I think, about 4 hours worth of scripts, and these were actually scripts that were intended to put people into a post-hypnotic, I'm not sure if I'm using the right terminology, a post-hypnotic trance or state, I think is the term they use. And so I had to have that tranquil sound, and it was pretty heavy on copy. In other words, the scripts were very long, and I actually mixed the music. I found some pretty interesting kind of new age type music that went well with these hypnotherapy scripts. And it was a long project. It took me, in terms of recording time, I would say about maybe 15 hours total. But I was able to do it, and the client was really happy with the way it turned out.
That makes sense to me. We would like to thank you, Mr. Mack, for stopping by. As well, I appreciate you for helping me with this hypodermic needle approach to post-production. We appreciate your expertise and knowledge on the subject, and the best of luck to you as well.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Thank you. Now it's time to screen the movie and collect feedback. Screening a rough cut film in private for friends and family that you can trust would be helpful before releasing your material to the mass media and real audiences.
Now that you mention it, that can really help you spot problems early on. This facilitates the ability to deal with the issue while you still have a chance to correct it.
You can combine these screenings with a 1 to 2 page feedback form given out directly after the movie has finished. Be sure to collect forms before a verbal question and answer session starts.
I often advise directors not to answer the question, to just ask them and to listen to the feedback.
That many times in the Q&A session, there are 1 or 2 loud voices, so take very specific opinions with a grain of salt. So instead, welcome the opinions of the group as a whole. Ask questions about what may be nagging you about the movie. Keep them as non-leading as possible to get the most honest feedback. However, most composers, but certainly not all, like to compose to a locked movie. If this is the case, allow proper time for them to work on the score between picture lock and the sound mix. With regard to source music, hiring a seasoned music supervisor is the key to clearing songs quickly. Don't pass out copies of rough cuts and DVDs. The main reason is to be protective and to not allow piracy. You always want to prevent a film unfinished, the version of the film from leaking. The reality is that no one is intentionally trying to sabotage your film, but no one will care about your movie like you do. Often movies get passed around by assistants and copied at agencies, etc., without them thinking about it.
First, I will email everyone a copy of the post schedule based on our needs. The industry standard is 10 weeks to deliver a cut. If I can't deliver it in time, you will be notified in advance. If you have a post-production specialist, bring them in. They could save you time and money. They will have awesome advice for all steps of the process. A bond company will require written proof of the bids. This is something a post supervisor can acquire. They can also help prepare the right workflow for post based on shooting the format.
Leaving the music to the last minute is often one of the biggest mistakes that you can make. This includes both source music and score. Remember, a composer needs time to come up with themes and ideas, so including them in the screening of rough cuts can be useful.
I often advise directors not to answer the questions, to just ask them and to listen to the feedback of the audience without defending his or her choices. These screenings are an excellent tool for directors to get information. Music supervisors also make suggestions for your source cues. This allows less of a risk of falling in love with the temp music that you can afford to license. Remember, securing festival licenses without negotiating the full license is a risk. You will need to have the full rights for your music. It's super easy for a movie to end up online now, so protecting any and all copies of the movie should be your first priority.
We want to thank our special guests, DJ A.J. Snow and Professor McDonald. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this production. Best of luck to you on your film and post-production projects. See you next time. This has been sponsored by the University of Missouri St. Louis Media Studies Department.
How are we going to back it all up? What's the preferred methods? Now, after we do agree, is Avid and Final Cut Pro ever going to listen to us?
hopefully, and this is, I think, the white paper that John was referring to, we need now at least some general guidelines that can be issued sort of globally to everyone so that we can, at least fine-tune the multitude of variables that are out there now in terms of the variables that impact our work in production.